Uh-oh.
League, but it was, get it up along that wall, forecheck the heck out of it, and just be relentless. And we were building culture back then to really think we wanted to establish
we'll abort out of
whether
this
you were
here in a
supremely
second.
skilled
Find a
or
good
whether
spot.
you
This is
were,
a minute for it.
I think that was what was built. What we saw pay off that year, style of hockey, every game. We were playing playoff hockey those last playoff burst, which was, I don't know this, but if you were, in management or in office,
That right there was David Backus talking with us a few weeks ago, talking about the 2009 season alongside Alex and T-Bone on Beacon, where we are expecting to hear from a number of different Craddock Foxa and Nathan Walker. At the podium today will be Shin, Snuggie, Kyrou, Thomas, Booch, Fowler, Benner, and then in the 12 o'clock hour, followed directly by Doug Armstrong. We are efforting Doug Armstrong here on the show. We'll see if we're able. This is not where we wanted to be today. Well, we did want to be at Enterprise Center potentially this week, but not for these reasons, obviously. This is a couple of goals with a couple of minutes to go in a Game 7 on the road. You can't ask for anything more. Yes. Ishikawa, question for you, Alex, is what does it mean beyond that? What does it mean beyond that? How do they use this as fuel? Can they find From Enterprise Center alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. We are going to be back on the other side, give you our final thoughts from Doug Armstrong's press conference. We'll also, we're hoping to be joined by Doug Armstrong here on the show. So stay tuned here on BK and Ferrario. Welcome back to BK and Ferrario with Alex Ferrario. I am Brandon Kiley. We've got Tanner Hendrickson here as well, and we are happy to be joined by Doug Armstrong out at Enterprise Center. He's just coming off of his 35-minute press conference, but he's kind enough to join us here on the flagship 101 ESPN coming off of this Blues season. Doug, thank you so much for the time. I know you were asked about this in there, but just take us through what the last 48 hours has been like for you as you're trying to process everything that took place in the first round.
Yeah, it's been disappointing. I think I said I don't know if you ever actually get over it. I mean, we're in a win-lose industry, and we put ourselves in a spot to advance to see what would happen, and we let something that was ours become theirs, and that's a hard feeling. I give Winnipeg credit. It's not like they didn't earn it, at the end of the day. But I really felt it was ours to have, and we didn't find a way to get that job done.
Doug, having conversations with guys of teams in the past, David Backes talked a lot about that 2008-2009 season that made the playoffs and then got bounced versus Vancouver. And even in the 2011-2012, they always talked about the battle scars that you earned from those playoffs and say you learn a little bit more about what your team's made of for the following season. Did it feel a little that way for you, that they learned what it took to make the playoffs, but there's still more to give?
I hope so. I wish I could say that for sure they have. Time is going to tell. And that time will come over summer conversations. It's too fresh right now to find out what they learned, what they picked up. I'm going to ask the guys as we meet with them over the summer, like, tell me about your year. Like, we're having exit meetings now. They're 5 or 10 minutes. They're relatively polite and non-confrontational. But what will happen over the summer is, okay, what are you going to do to get better? And I really believe that you get better in this league in small increments. And, I said to our group that if we got to get 5% better and Binner gets 5% better, nobody else, then we're not moving ahead.
Yeah.
So we need everyone to get a little better. And that will come from what they learned from this and how much it hurts them too. Like if it doesn't hurt, then we're probably not learning a lot.
Yeah. We're talking to Doug Armstrong here on 101 ESPN. Doug, you had mentioned the whatever. You're trying to move now into more of a competitive window, and you were asked in your press conference about Dalibor Dvorsky and how he fits into your plans. From the outside looking in, it feels like that has almost a fork in the road moment, right? If he were to be slotted in immediately next year, well, there's basically your forward group. As you're looking at your roster heading into this offseason, what do you view as the priority in order to continue to improve that 5% as you're talking about?
Well, I think if we could find another 200-foot scoring player, that could help out. Now that's easier said than done in this league too, and what we don't want to do is, like, we won't trade a young player or a first-round pick for a Band-Aid, meaning a year player. Would we do it for a 2-year player or a 3-year player? Maybe. That then becomes management with myself and our group, and we then take it to sell that to Mr. Stillman, because we have sold a vision of growing, and that was expedited, though, with Broberg and Holloway. Now we have a group of players in a certain age that I think takes us out of that whatever into something that's more sustainable or something more of the view. I look at us quite honestly a lot like the Detroit Red Wings are right now.
Yeah.
They've got young players in our age bracket. They're good. They want to get better. We got young players and we want to get better too. And who can get there quicker? That's that's the race we're in.
You've talked in the past too, Doug, about how you don't want to block guys from opportunities at the NHL, but because you exit out of that whatever and start to get to a competitive window, does that shift things for you as well, to where we're not focused on blocking guys, we're focused on the best players that can play?
Yeah, I hear that the opposite of what you said it, though, is that because we're more competitive now. So if we had say 81 points, 82 points, then I could easily say to you, Dvorsky's on the team, because that, and I could sell another vision that, we got to put him in there. We're going to fail with him. We're going to let him get his stripes, blah, blah, blah. But we got too many, we have enough players here that I believe we can compete, as I said, for a playoff spot for home ice, that we can't afford that right now. Now, I think he can do that. He has to do it. But it's not where we're in a point where we're just going to give away jobs because we don't have better options. Yeah. Not better options, that's the wrong term. Our just belief system is where the other teams that believe they're there to be good today. Yeah. I'm not saying that we're Dallas good today or we're, those top team good today, but we should be in that fight for what I call the top half of the middle third. That's, I said to our staff, like, we got 5% better. We picked 16. Now we're picking 19. Next year we want to pick. Next we want to pick 32. but if we pick 24, I'd be happy. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just these continual growths that we want to keep doing.
But you still do need that pipeline to be a factor in a team that could be competitive.
Yeah, but we don't have to force feed that until they're ready. And I really do believe that the NHL does fail players as much as players fail the league, in the sense that we put players into the league to prove that we're going a certain direction. Yeah. And they just get overwhelmed. And then it takes so long to get them out of that. I think we're in a good spot not to have to do that.
Doug, when you look at teams that are trying to accomplish the ultimate goal, right? You see contenders every year that just don't have the guy in net, and that ultimately just ends their season. You guys have that player in Jordan Binnington. He's 31, about to be 32. I am curious, how does that play into some of this, of thinking about that winning window, and you're entering into that window of contention right now, and you want to capitalize while having that guy in net? How does that influence, if at all, some of the decisions that you're making over the next few years?
Well, I love our goaltending tandem. I think Binner is he proved this year again that he's in the upper echelon of players in that position, and I think Hofer is getting better and better every year. So the great late Pat Burns said goaltending's 80% of the game. Unless you don't have it, then it's 100. And so I really believe that we have it, and we're in a good spot there. And Binner does give us the belief with Hof that we're in every game every night. No matter who goes out first, we're in that game.
Does having that guy in place already make you feel like that much more aggressive, that, hey, we're trying to capitalize on the window that you're in right now with him and Hofer in net?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's an area that we don't have to be concerned about. But that area by itself can't win you a championship.
Sure.
So we're not like we wouldn't mortgage the future for one player because we got Binner, because if we're not a good team, and as I said, I'm not raining on the parade that we have expectations, but it's expectations to get better. But I still, like when I watch certain cup contending teams from not when the playoffs start, but in September, that's a Dallas, that's a Florida.
Yeah.
We're not there yet, but we're growing.
Yeah. Doug, Pete DeBoer said this after their series, Dallas and Colorado, and he said the Central Division is the toughest division in hockey. This is the division you've been a part of as your career general manager. When you've been managing in the Central Division versus conversations you've had with your cohorts in the other divisions, does it feel more challenging from your perspective dealing in the Central?
Actually, you don't feel it, but you hear it a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's a man's game, but this is a man's division in a man's game. and I think it makes you firmer and harder. And I've only been in the Western Conference as a manager, as any time in hockey, quite honestly. So I only know this. I just think this is a hard division, and it's not going to get easier. And what I take pride in trying to accomplish is that we want to be one of the teams that are there year in, year out. So if Team X pops in for a while and they leave, and Team Y pops in, we want to be in that group.
Yeah.
And we were out of that group for a couple of years. I want to get back into that group where every year people say, well, they're in that group that's going to be competitive. And I don't really care what other people think, but I hope people believe that we've worked our way back into a team that they say, you know what, we better. We're not everybody's homecoming anymore.
Yeah. Final question that I have for you, Doug. This offseason, you have a couple of guys that are potentially extension eligible, especially the guys that you brought in last year on the offer sheets. Is that something that is a priority for you? Is that something that you'll see where it goes along? How do you view that?
Not a priority, but not something that we're not going to address. Meaning, everything comes. There's a flow to negotiations. There's a flow to discussions. We're not trying to get a player signed now to undervalue him later, and we don't want to get a player signed now because they had a good year and being overvalued. So what I want to do is I want to sit with our management group. We want to do whatever's good for those guys. Now, the exciting part about those guys is, they're ours, so they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We can extend them now. They can play next year out. They can be a restricted free agent, and maybe we'll have a decision to make whether we match an offer or not. But we'll have a decision to make. It won't just be theirs.
Gotta love the offer sheet conversation. Yeah. You sparked the conversation that it feels like the entire hockey world still talks about now.
All right, he's Doug Armstrong. He's got a busy offseason ahead.
Yes.
He had a busy day today here, certainly. We appreciate you taking the time. Thanks so much for hopping on with us, Doug.
I always enjoy being on, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks for everyone's support, too.
Blues president of hockey operations joining us here on BK and Ferrario. Coming up next, we're going to break down the interview that we just had with Doug Armstrong. We'll also hear and discuss some of what Jim Montgomery had to say earlier today. That's all here on BK and Ferrario.
The St. Louis Battlehawks host the Birmingham Stallions at the Battle Dome at America Center Saturday, May 17th. Then 1 week later, see the Battlehawks host the San Antonio Brahmas on Friday night, May 23rd.
It's 2 big home games and time to show the United Football League that CAW is the law.
Get all the ticket info and a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to both games right now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-500-5000.
When was the last time you checked if your car and home rates were competitive? CarltonInsurance.net today.
Hey you, it's Dr. Pryor. If your mouth's been getting more action from late night pizza than it has from a toothbrush, it's time to come see me. At 100 West Dental, we know how to clean up your act and your smile. Whether it's overdue cleanings, a chipped tooth from a wild weekend, or just getting that fresh, I'm definitely not hungover grin, we got you covered. Look, we know you're not shy, so why shy away from getting your teeth right? Book your free consultation at 100westdental.com, and let's give you something to smile about.
Hey, it's Kerry Davis with a big deal from Window Nation. Now you'll save big during Window Nation's semi-annual sale. How big? 60% off and a free exterior door when you get a whole house of windows. Now that's a big deal. Plus, you can get 0 down, 0 interest, no payments locked in for 2 years because right now, financial security is a big deal. Want even more? Right now, they'll give you 2 free Cardinals tickets when you replace all your windows. Imagine getting some of the best windows you can buy for a lot less than the other expensive guys. And unlike most home improvement companies, Window Nation backs their products with a lifetime warranty with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and over 45,000 customer 5-star reviews. You can trust Window Nation for quality and service. Hurry, Window Nation's semi-annual sale ends soon, so don't miss out. To get 60% off, no interest finances for 2 years, free Cardinals tickets. Schedule your free in-home estimate right now, 866-90Nation, or visit them online at windownation.com. That's 866-90Nation or online windownation.com.
So just leave the lives
when you're ready to tackle your hunger and save a few bucks. pick up the new Battlehawks box at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Get up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets, plus 4 hand-breaded chicken strips, crispy potato wedges, and 2 game-changing dipping sauces for just $8.99. That's a touchdown-worthy play. The Battlehawks box with a great deal on tickets. Only at Lee's. Caw-caw. Famous for chicken.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Now at Menards, save big on everything for your landscaping project. Whether you're shopping for edgers, pavers, or wall blocks, Menards has the largest in-stock selection of concrete landscape block ready to take home today. Plus, get fast free estimates when you use our landscape design program, available in-store and on Menards.com. Save big on landscape blocks when you shop at Menards. Also, check out the great deals from our weekly flyer on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AA MCO.
Hey, take me out of my old car. Get me out of this heap. Approve my credit and cut me some slack. I need a dealer that's watching my back. I gotta make sure it's a great deal. All I have down is my trade. 'Cause I need a great deal on a brand new car.
Brand new 25 Kia K4 LXS for just $19,995 with any trade. HW Kia is busting high tariff pricing.
It's a home run.
Stuck in your loan or lease? Big D at HW Kia will get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, so you can drive an HW Kia for under 20 grand.
You're out.
Worried about your credit? Forget it. First time buyer, bankruptcy, repossessions?
Safe.
We finance your future, not your past. HWKia.com. Unapproved credit, not all will qualify. Plus tax, title, license, and 587 title and registration processing fee. Rebates and incentives to dealer. 21 or newer trade with clear Carfax. Offers not in combination.
Hey, I've got this round.
Thanks, man.
Cheers. Sir, your card was declined.
Well, this is awkward.
Hey there. Someone uncomfortable?
Who are you?
Ron, the Wizard of Comfort. At Swiss Air Heating and Cooling, we may not be able to help you with your credit card being declined, but we can make you comfortable in your own home. Right now, we're offering you a $2,500 instant rebate, the longest warranty in the industry, and payments as low as $129 a month. You can't beat that.
That's actually an amazing deal.
So you'll be paying in cash or...
Ron, I'm uncomfortable again.
If you're even contemplating replacing your heating and cooling system, now is the time to do it. $2,500 instant rebate and the longest warranty in the business. If you have one of those old, unreliable HVAC systems, contact Swiss Air now. Payments are as low as $129 a month. Call us at 636-500-COOL or online at SwissAirSTL.com. SwissAirSTL.com.
We've got your chance to win free tickets to Post Malone.
Go ahead.
With Jelly Roll. On May 13th at Busch Stadium.
Okay.
Get entered to win those free tickets for Post Malone and Jelly Roll right now, either at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app.
2. Okay, so we've got the 145 break in top of the hour.
This one will be 5 minutes. The last one.
Get caught up on all our shows and
so we just got to get out by like 57, right?
ESPN.com or
You'll
on
have
the
a live
101 mobile app. 101 ESPN podcasts are presented by the Schaefer Door Company.
Jordan,
101
ESPN
Sports Center.
I'm Jordan Deacon. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Yesterday, the Cardinals won the series opener against the Pirates 6-3. Those two teams are back in action tonight at Busch Stadium with first pitch at 6:45. And as for the Blues, their season ended on Sunday. They have their end of season availability today. We heard from head coach Jim Montgomery, general manager Doug Armstrong, and Jeremy Rutherford is next. ESPN. I'm Jordan Deacon, the Sports Center. Together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
All right, alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. A lot of moving parts today, but it's been a good day nonetheless out here at Enterprise Center. And we've got Jeremy Rutherford joining us now live on remote. If you guys want to check us out, we are on YouTube now. Everything's up and running. YouTube.com/101ESPN-STL. 1:30 and we are up, baby. We have got this thing ready to roll.
Finally connected to the internet.
JR, you can find his work over at The Athletic. You can always follow him on Twitter as well at JP Rutherford. All right, JR. As you heard everything that Monty had to say, everything that Army had to say, your headline coming out of today is what?
Yeah, just the sheer, utter disappointment from what transpired there in Game 7 the other day. You know, everything from Pavel Buchnevich saying that he couldn't sleep later because of that last 2 minutes and everything that led up to those game-tying goals and game-winning goals. And you know, Jim Montgomery, too, talking about moving ahead. They're going to have to focus on that 6-on-5 defense. It's something that really bugged them. I was talking to Alex earlier today, and we said there were fans 2-3 months ago, BK, who were saying that is going to come back and bite them. And it did in the absolute worst spot possible. So just the disappointment. And then big picture, I think the fact that they feel like they're closer to having the type of success that maybe others envision being a couple more years away, that they feel like they're closer to that point because of the success of this playoff run.
Yeah, hearing him talk, JR, specifically Doug Armstrong, it sounds like they really believe that the whatever is done. They believe that is past this team, and now it's the expectation of competing for a playoff spot.
Yeah, and where that matters, like we could debate it all day long, but where it matters is, can they look at their situation and say, this allows us to be aggressive. So when Doug Armstrong goes into a situation this offseason where, hey, we feel like we have a hole here, you know what? We're going to get that done right now. Yeah. Because, we're going to be better in a couple years when we have these prospects come up and they grow with us, but we can address this right now by signing this guy, and it's going to make us a 98-point team, a 100-point team next year like he was talking about. So I think that's where it matters. We can debate the whole retool thing, but I think when Pavel Buchnevich says that, look, people around the league, if St. Louis looks like a good spot because they're winning, I want to go there. I think that's where it matters.
Yeah. As you think, Jer, toward this offseason, and I think Army made it pretty clear, like, Dvorsky's not a guy that they're necessarily expecting to be in the lineup on opening night. How do you view where the team is at and what you anticipate them trying to accomplish this offseason?
Yeah, I think that was important to hear what he had to say about Dvorsky, right? I agree with you, BK. I think I heard you yesterday say that it's tough to envision a situation where Dvorsky comes in and he's all of a sudden ready to play every night. And Doug said that. It looked like he wasn't. They weren't in a position to put Dalibor Dvorsky in every night. And so he's going to come to training camp and he's going to have a chance to earn a spot. I don't necessarily think it's going to be that number 2 center spot. I think right now you just have to envision coming in next year with Braden Shen as your number 2 and believe that that's going to be a continuation of what you saw with Dylan Holloway and Jordan Kyrou, right? I mean, that was a great line when they were rolling. So I would think, unless there's some player coming in that we're just not aware of right now, that's what that situation would be like.
That was the part that I think was my biggest takeaway, specifically from Doug Armstrong. And I guarantee our listeners that heard that is going to be talking about the 200-foot offensive weapon that Doug Armstrong is talking about. Now, I don't know if that means it's a middle 6 forward. I don't know if that means it's a top-line player free agency via trade. But it does seem like, and we had Doug on before you, it does seem like they're past the position that they were 2 years ago where they said we're not going to be blocking guys that we expect to be a part of our core. It sure seems like they believe that, look, if we can find an upgrade, we're going to put that player in place and let the guys compete for roster spots.
Yeah, and that was interesting. You're right, the 200-foot player, offensive player, and they need that. They need finishers, I think, in this group. And, do you have a 200-foot guy who can be a finisher too? You hope so. You hope a guy, like Buchnevich can be that guy. But you need another one. I think that's the one thing this team lacked, right? You had a Bolduc come in with this shot, and I think that's going to be a lethal weapon. Snuggerud's going to come in. That shot's going to be a lethal weapon. But this team needs to be able to finish. So I think you're right, Alex. And the other thing is, I think that guys like Bolduc can be top 6. I think Jake Neighbors can be top 6 when you need them. But when this team gets to Stanley Cup contending level, maybe Neighbors, maybe Bolduc are middle 6 guys because you've brought in a guy who can score you 40 goals. And I think that's what they're going to get to eventually. Can they find that guy this offseason? We don't know.
All right, so we're talking to Jeremy Rutherford here on 101 ESPN. Jerry, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I'm curious your thoughts on it. So Jordan Binnington, to me, is kind of like the guy that should be driving the decisions right now, because he is in his age 31 season, going to be 32. You just don't know how many prime years you have left with this version of Binner, and that guy can win you a cup, right? We've seen that before. We saw it this year where he gave them a chance against the President's Trophy team. To me, that's what makes me aggressive in the next offseason or two, where I'm like, I probably would push harder than maybe is reasonable because of where the team is at right now. But if you don't do that, then where does that leave you? Like, do you end up just kind of being a middling team, and then by the time that you do have a contending group of skaters, you don't have that guy in net at the top of his game, so now you're looking for goalie again. How do you view how Jordan Binnington potentially influences some of those decisions?
I think it's a good point. I mean, you see goaltenders, and he's in his early 30s, and you get into, age 34, 35, and who knows if he's even here at that point, if he re-signs after this current deal. You have to take advantage of these Jordan Binnington years. I mean, he's one of the best in the league. You can look at save percentage, tell me all that stuff. I still think he's a guy, like you said, that can win. So I think they do kind of have to make decisions based on that. But at the same time, they're trying to kind of put the right pieces in place the next couple years, bring in some of these first-round draft picks, see how they fit. We heard Jim Montgomery say today, I asked him the question, Doug Armstrong just tells me to play the best guys. And I think that's something good to hear, right? Because, guys, I talked to Craig Berube on the phone after he left, and he said it was a challenge to be able to try to do both, groom the young guys and play the vets at the same time. So now you've got a situation where they're trying to win, right? So the thing is, who can you go out and get, and who can take you to that next level where you can take advantage of these Binnington years? Sure. Like when I throw, the name Marner that you guys are talking about, I mean, in a perfect world, you can get a guy who can come in and really throw you over the top and really take advantage of these Jordan Binnington years. Sure. But I don't know that I would go out and just try to find a guy or two here, bring him in to just say that you're competing in the Binnington years. I don't think they should go that route. If it's a guy who who can come in and take you to that next level, then sure.
I was a little surprised to hear Doug say, though, that the 200-foot forward, an offensive weapon, because to me it felt like defense was the area that they're still looking to improve. But hearing Doug, it sounds like he's pretty content with his he specifically said our top 4 defenseman is good for now.
Yeah, that's the thing with where they're at. Is defensively, I think he likes the top 4, right? But the other thing is, on that third pair / 7th defenseman, they've got some older guys, whether it be Ryan Suter, who we don't know if he'll be back. You have, Falk, he's mid-30s. Nick Leddy, same thing, 34 years old. So what are they going to do with those guys? I think one of the main points of emphasis this offseason is going to be addressing that. Like, is there interest out there in Justin Falk? Is there interest in Nick Leddy? You're not going to get a lot in return, and maybe you're just moving a contract. But I think they need to get younger on the back end, and Doug is rightly happy with the top 4, how it looks. But they're certainly going to have to address those moving parts. And keep in mind, they got some young guys coming in the next couple of years on defense.
Jeremy Rutherford is our guest here on 101 ESPN. Jer, he did address Radek Fox's future as well. He mentioned, hey, he's a guy that I had a conversation with today. We'll see where it goes. He's kind of going to circle back down the road. What do you view as the outlook for Radek Fox with this team?
Yeah, they got to bring him back, I think. I really do. And when I said this or wrote it a couple months ago, people said, fourth-line forwards are a dime a dozen. I get
T-Bone mentioned that earlier today. I said that exact quote.
And it actually upset me.
Yeah,
Maybe I stole that from his piece.
God, come on.
But people say that, and I get it. If you lose Radek Fox, I don't think anybody's going to be, turning their tickets in at Enterprise Center and say, I'm turning in my season tickets. The only thing I'm saying is, like, when you find chemistry, you have to keep it. And it just works with that line. Mm-hmm. And I think for what the cost will maybe be, like, he's coming here on the 3.1 from Dallas, and so, I mean, is it going to be a little less than that? He's a couple years older than when he signed it. I think that'd be fair for him. You just know what you're going to get, and doing this for how long I've been following the team, 20 years, is you have to keep a guy like him and know what you have, and they know what they have in Radek.
Depending on what that money is, I mean, we were just looking at it. The bigger thing, too, from this availability was that Torrey Krug doesn't sound like he is going to be returning to the NHL. Puckpedia says they have about $6 million to work with, but if there's no Torrey Krug, you're talking about 12. Did it feel like to you, JR, that Doug Armstrong seemed like somebody who was going to be, I don't want to say aggressive this offseason, but active?
Yeah, I didn't get a read either way on what he'll plan to do. The fun part about covering Doug is it doesn't matter what you think he's going to do. He's still going to surprise you with what he does.
Like saying offer sheets in the offseason and then, oh, hey, offer sheet.
I'm sitting at Bread Company this past summer, and all of a sudden the news of the offer sheet, like, here we go. This is Doug. This is what I've come to know.
Come on.
So, I really do feel like it could be the dead of summer, and you don't think anything's coming, and then all of a sudden, whammo. So, yeah, I didn't get a read on how aggressive he's going to be, but I think the read that we should all have is that they feel the right to be aggressive because of where they've put themselves.
All right, JR, we'll get you out of here on this. Season's over. It came to an abrupt end. You had already bought your flights to go down to Dallas, and then they didn't end up needing to go to Dallas. How would you summarize what we witnessed in the 2024-2025 St. Louis Blues season?
Yeah, I think a great step forward. It really was. And, you guys dealt with it yesterday. Alex dealt with it in the post-game the other night. Like, you catch a little heat for that because you should hold these guys accountable, and I get it. But I was somebody who had them dead to rights before the Four Nations. Even after the Four Nations, when they started to win, it's like it's still a lot of ground to make up, and that's the biggest thing. Not only do they need to go on a run, but the other teams around them have to fall, and everything happened. And so look, you can wake up every day and you got your laptop or you guys got the microphone here and be critical, and these guys need to be better. But they did this time. And they did put it together. And whatever transpired in that room, not only improved the culture the last 2 months of the season, this really does feel like something that is going to continue when these guys show up next year. Now, you still got to bring it. You still have to develop it. You still have to work on it. It's not automatic. But I think what happened in the last 3 months is a huge step for this franchise to get back to where they need to be sooner than where we all thought it would take.
Feels like a little bit of torture, JR, that you went to Winnipeg for 4 games, and then all of a sudden you book your flight to Dallas, and then nope, you don't get to go.
Don't get to
back
go.
to St. Louis for you.
Yeah, and people heard the story probably yesterday, but 4 minutes to go in regulation. I did not want to go down to the locker room, get all the sound bites, have to come back, and then book a flight. So I said, hey, 4 minutes left. We'll book it right now. And
that's the JKO there.
Yeah, all I know is I got a text from Alex Ferrario as I was winding down on my flight, and Alex was saying, hey, who should we get for guests this week to break down the series and start previewing
I tweeted out dagger when Radek Fox scored that goal, which because it was the definition of a dagger. What I didn't expect was 2 minutes of just pure chaos that leads to the Winnipeg Jets.
I am the only one that has clean hands this time around. As
he literally just broke a pen. He literally just broke
as
a
you
pen.
say clean hands. Do you have ink on your hands
Good
now?
Lord, man.
I have clean hands.
He's JR. That's Alex Ferrario. That's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Brandon Kiley. Coming up next, we'll hit the BK and Ferrario Rewind here on 101 ESPN.
it back with the Daily Rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page after the show today. 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Been a wild show today. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved. You can always check us out on YouTube as well. We've got that beautiful, wonderful, very much working stream going over there at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Huge thanks to Doug Armstrong for stopping by the show. We were going to have Jake Neighbors, so he was kind enough to give us his time. Unfortunately, technology went awry, so we weren't able to get him today. Hopefully get him at some point in the future. Alex, big day today. Lots of interviews, lots of conversations to be had. We will certainly be breaking down everything tomorrow on our show, and the Fast Lane will have all of their breakdown later on this afternoon. I know Jamie was out here to be able to catch up with some guys as well. What was your biggest takeaway? Your biggest takeaway from what we heard from Jim Montgomery and Doug Armstrong today was blank.
That they are believing that this team is not in a retool anymore. Doug said that very statement, that they believe that they are entering their competitive window, and now that comes down to the players following through with it, because Doug can believe this all he wants, and they're both right. Jim and Doug said that they 5% improved. They went from 92 to 96 points this year. If that's the case, if you keep trying to make it 5% better, well, now you're talking about being a 100-point team. And if you're doing that, you're talking about being a competitive team in the Western Conference. It's not an easy conference, but I think that they are apt to look at it this way. You've got a lot of guys who have emerged. He talked about Thomas and Kyrou being at that stage of their career that are the peak years from 25 to 31. You've got those guys. You've got the younger guys. And to me, and I know we mentioned it with JR, it does sound like Doug Armstrong views this as at least something that they're not going to sit on their hands and say, we'll see what we look like next year. It does feel like they view this as, we think we're competitive, we know there's areas to upgrade, and we will see what we can do on that front. It seems like an active offseason.
Yeah, on Jim Montgomery, his interview from earlier today, I think almost everything was based on the 6-on-5.
Yeah.
It was clear that's his number one priority this offseason is to improve there. He said he's going to study all of the teams that were good at it, what they do, why it works for them, and how the Blues can easily implement that into their game, especially the teams that have a similar defensive structure to what the Blues do. He was asked if he has any regrets about what took place in Game 7 or really just in general in the playoffs. He said the biggest thing was he regrets not calling a timeout down the stretch in that game. Also said he wished they were more consistent with their forecheck and creating chaos in front of the net when they were on the road in the series. So those are the two things he wishes he could have changed. On Doug Armstrong, to me, the biggest thing that we heard from him was on Dalibor Dvorsky, because I think that is the fork-in-the-road moment on what the Blues are going to do this offseason. He made it pretty clear, if you read between the lines a little bit, Dvorsky's not being handed a spot. Now, if he earns it the way that Victor Scott did, Victor Scott was not expected to be a part of the Cardinals on opening day this season, but he was so damn good in spring training, you couldn't avoid it. The guy earned his opportunity. So that's possible for Dvorsky as well. If he doesn't, though, I think the Blues are going to be potentially aggressive in acquiring somebody that helps their forward group and could potentially even, in my opinion, play into your top 6. So I think that was the biggest change in my perspective between when we arrived today and when we are leaving, how I feel the Blues are going to be operating heading into the offseason. Everybody says 5% better. That's the goal for next year. If that's the case, you're a 100-point team, and you're a team that is legitimately in contention to win something meaningful in the playoffs. Yeah. So we'll break all of that down even more tomorrow. Again, if you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page after the show, 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app. That app is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Shout out to Doty for making this all possible for us out here. Shout out to Tanner for doing some of the logistics out here. And a huge shout out to Jordan Deacon, who did a marvelous job making everything work for us back in the studio today. She was unbelievable, and she deserves all the praise in the world. So thank you so much to her for making this all possible. For Alex.
Do you think Jordan took a breath at all from 11 until 12:15?
No.
No.
For Alex, I'm BK. We will talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.